You came back. I'm still here. I'm still Jeff Burr, and I'm still with the Tattooed Spirit. We're talking about the final card, the final pip of the Sword's suit. That suit that we so acclimate with air, that we so have connected with the qualities of air, that fleeting, that moving, those one thing comes in and blows another thing into another thing, and then the wind sort of trades with another wind, and then all these things. This is the air. This is the sword suit. Interesting contrast, isn't it, though, with the metal of the sword, with this wind thing that's just sort of not even a real thing at all. But they go together because they make sense, because the thoughts cut, thoughts create. That's how they come together so mystically, magically, and in the real world. Back to the 10. Here we go. This is another one of those cards. This will be the last card that we see for a while with such an off-putting initial presence. This is about the not only the completion, but also about the excess of the suit. This is the excess of the qualities of a negative thought process, of a negative belief system that has been initiated by thoughts. Complete, overly done. This is like overreaction. If you consider this to be yourself, this can be seen as a good card to be really. Is it really as bad as you think? Do you really need 10 swords in your back to end it all? There's even a sword in your ear. Is that really necessary, or is it completely overkill? This represents not a happy time, but this represents also, like the card that we had seen before, with that 9 of swords, that perhaps with the right perspective or with enough time that changes, that being stabbed in the back feeling, that being wrong, that being a victim, that is in the process of passing. We all kind of do this to ourselves, and I sort of understand the idea that, getting empathy from somebody is in its sense, in essence, it's in essence a reward, This is speaking to the people that whenever you ask them how you're doing, they just tell you how bad things are, how hard they're working, how tough the situation is, how sick their other person is, how they're running around, how they're running ragged, how they don't sleep, and all of these negative things that they're putting in their own back. And then they're getting the reward of, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you're working so hard. You're such a good father. Oh, you're doing the best you can. You're working that hard. You must be really, really valuable to the company. And all of these rewards that we get from stabbing ourselves in the back by constantly giving an over importance to these negative attributes of a way that a thought could go. When it's reversed, that's a signifier that perhaps time have changed. Perhaps you've gained more understanding that it really doesn't serve you to get all of this positive reinforcement for just sort of complaining, just to sort of replaying the same sort of situations and games and communications that you play in your head to other people to get that pat on the back, or you're okay, or you still have value. All right, it's a defense mechanism that we all do, because it always feels good to get the hugs and get the pats. As a child, that's how we get them as a kid. We fall on our face. What happens? We get coddled. We get rewarded for something that initiated something bad. There's an interesting communication and connection and association with being punished by your parents, and then you all of a sudden, or then they feel bad. So then you get the positive reward of this initial bad thing that happened, that you got in trouble or whatever. That's what this card is. That's what I'm talking about, this card. All these ways that we hurt ourselves so that there is some sort of benefit to it, whenever there's really no benefit at all. Self-sabotage incorporates with this card. Ending it, this time ending. Obviously, anytime you reverse a sword, you almost always want to feel and see those swords of pain coming out, except with the 3. We talked about the 3, that one going into the heart, that very balanced card. So this card, we kind of see that it's not all night. You know, it involves other people. You can easier see that these swords were put there by other people. Another reason that a lot of people go into the victimization road rather than being here. When you're in here and you're just with your own thoughts and just with your own crap, it's almost harder to blame other people because you're just so worried and spiraled into a depression or a despair. Here is whenever it sort of gets put outward about other people did this to me. Whenever it's just the same point, that it's just an over in excess and you're putting emphasis on something that just doesn't need the emphasis on it. It points to a bad time, but it also points to all those other things that we talked about and I rambled upon. So that is the summary of whenever you see this card, whenever you're doing your readings. You say, give me some positive advice for today. We're just going to do a one card spread. What's the one thing that I can keep in mind whenever I'm going through my day? Of either a great day or a bad day. I don't even know yet because I just woke up. Blip, boom, boom. And you pull this card. That's going to say, whoa, okay, remember not to take things so seriously. Remember that you're not a victim of anything that really happens, that there's a bigger picture at play. The bigger picture, by the way, you can almost always find in the number. Not that I'm trying to overwhelm you with always going with the numbers, but think about the last 10 that you're familiar with. The big major 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. You can easily put a nice patchwork, a nice band-aid, some nice anesthetic on whatever seems to be so bad that you even need a sword in your ear to finish you off. Is it just being part of a bigger plan? It's just one thing that has to happen so that gives you an awareness to get yourself more centered so that you can move further along in your life, more empowered, more self-assured, more self-confident. It's okay to get knocked around on your butt for a little while, even if it is from other people. Remember the influence of the 10. You're doing some sort of completion thing, even if it's through the excess of these negative feeling thoughts from yourself or from other people. Go back a little bit lesson before we wrap up this video. The next thing, we had come across this wonderful 11, okay? From this, we are inspired. We're inspired to this by this, understanding that the next stage of our interpersonal spiritual journey on that second line of the major arcana is this. This is personal responsibility. This almost sort of cancels out this right here. Someone who's personally responsible and who's holding that sword of justice straight up and down with clear thinking, straight up and down, couldn't possibly be experiencing anything like this. So whenever this card is lovingly offered to you by this gift of random shuffling, then understand that there is a chain of events that you're being led to understand. That whatever you're feeling bad about is just making you more self-empowered, all right? So make this lesson be, with this particular, sometimes challenging suit of swords, be the overriding lesson on all of these cards, that they're all just here to inspire you to make your life better. I usually do a review of the cards, but they're very, very straightforward for most of them, so I will save that time for a later video. And I will be seeing you hopefully very, very soon for the next video when we delve into the green, the beingness, that which all the other elements result in. You don't want to miss this. This is how you are right now. Or, as the patterns continue, in the near future. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.